Hey guys, my name's Dave. Welcome to Torque Master General Garage. Today we're working on a 73 Beetle. Alright guys, so today's job we're going to replace the fuel pump flange on a 73 Super Beetle. So go ahead, grab yourself something to drink, or if you're out at the car, grab some tools. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to replace the fuel pump flange. That's this flange that goes between the fuel pump and the block. And the reason we're going to do that is this vehicle has the dreaded, when it warms up, it wants to stall. So what happens is the fuel pump lift rod goes through the center here, and what happens is when this gets warm, the tube here expands on the inside as well as the outside, and it gets stuck. So what you can do is you could take this off, you can set it on a vise, you can sand this down and thin it out, or for like $13 you could just buy a new one. So I know, a lot of times we want to try and save money where we can, but for $13, sometimes I think it's just better to go ahead and replace it. Today you'll notice I have gloves on, mainly because I have a lot of things to do today, and I don't want to spend my time washing my hands really crazy. So bear with me with that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start by taking off these fuel lines here. This upper one goes to the fuel line right here. It goes to the engine. This lower one goes to the fuel filter here. I do want to remove this fuel filter. I want to change this line. I do want to mount it outside of the engine area. So I'll probably do that on the reassembly. But let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing you want to do is get a flat blade screwdriver, or if you don't have a flat blade screwdriver, a lot of times you can use either a 1/4 inch socket or something of the sorts. When tightening these down, I do highly recommend that you do use a socket and a small ratchet, because you want them as tight as possible without splitting the hoses. I'm also going to change these worm clamps out for the high pressure clamps. I like the high pressure clamps better. They're a solid one-piece design. See if you can get that there. They don't have all the little teeth that bite into the hose. These are a lot better in my opinion. So when using fuel, that's what I use. So we're going to go ahead and knock these off real quick and start on that. And I'm actually going to remove the hose on both sides, because again, I'm going to replace the hoses. If you have not replaced your hoses in a long time, or they look a little chewed up, I would recommend replacing the hoses while you're at it. Now Volkswagen does have a braided, it's like a braided hose that they use. I think it's a 5mm or 5.5mm hose. I don't have any of that. The recommendation would be to use that by all means, but I'm going to use regular fuel injection hose. I know it's a little bit bigger, but with the correct clamps, you'll be just fine. Alright, I've now taken the fuel filter off. Alright guys, as you'll see now, I've taken the fuel filter off. The line goes right here to the back of the fuel, or the carburetor. It would go to the fuel filter and then return back to the bottom end here on this fuel pump. I've taken the upper hose off. That goes to this pipe here. So we got all that out of the way. Now it's time to remove the fuel pump itself. Now my fuel pump is held on by two 13mm bolts. We're just going to go ahead and knock these off. Okay, so it's easier if you have a swivel back here. For some reason I can't find my swivel. So as always, what does that mean? It means we add a tool to the list of tools we need to buy. So I'll have the tool guy at the shop this weekend, and at that time I'll pick up another swivel, I guess. Alright, so then we just take the fuel pump off. Remember, there's a nut and a washer on both of these studs. Out comes the fuel pump. Here's the lift for the fuel pump, this push rod here would come through there and push on the fuel pump as it rides on the cam. So we also need to verify that we have the correct fuel pump push rod. Now as you can see, this gasket here is shot. I don't know what's going on here. They also did not put any grease. You also want to put grease inside here for the push rod to ride in. So whoever did this job did not do the job right. They also doubled up the gaskets. I mean, this is just awful. Whoever did this, you suck. There's no drag there. So this is probably not in bad shape, but we're gonna buy it in here. We bought it already, we're gonna replace it anyways. So here's the push rod for the fuel pump. There we go. Just crack that loose and off it comes, and look at that. The tube is broken. So that's not a good thing, guys. So with the tube broken, I'm assuming that means we have the rest of the tube down inside the engine. Yeah, we do. So what we're gonna need to do is get in there with some needle nose pliers and get the rest of that out. Great. Alright guys, so the area is now clean. I just used a flat blade screwdriver to clean that up. I was able to get the broken stem out of the hole. Unfortunately, the only way I was able to do that was to bust it into pieces and push it down into the oil pan. I don't recommend that. What I'm gonna end up doing probably is dropping the bottom of this to get all the debris out. First roll it over by hand to make sure that there's no debris caught in anything. But once that's done, if it spins freely, I have no problem with just giving it a shot and see if it'll run. So what you're gonna need, you're gonna need a lower gasket, you're gonna need an upper gasket, and you're gonna need a new stand. So the lower gasket, here's the part number. If you can see that, it's 113-127-311. And this is for my engine in particular. The upper gasket is going to be 113-127-313. And the stand itself is part number 113-127-303. So I don't believe in using any silicone. If everything is clean, you got a nice base for it to sit on, it should seal up just properly. So we're gonna just put the gaskets down dry. So this gasket goes first. All right guys, so I ordered one of these and was given two. And I didn't know why, and I'm gonna tell you why. One of them is different. It's a little more slender. It has the same part number. Looks like the links are a little different. This is a little thicker. I wonder if that's why this was stuck inside there, because they used the wrong one. So if you look here, I can't really get in without forcing it. This is the way it should work. Like that. It should just drop right down inside there. So I'm not sure why I got two, but I'm glad I did because that's the one I need. So we're gonna go ahead and use that one. And we're gonna move on and install the next gasket. And again, the upper gasket just goes like so. And then we need our fuel pump shaft. So if this is laying on the ground, make sure to wipe it off. Get any of the debris off of it. The beveled end here, this is what you want to be on the cam. So you want this down, just like so. Okay. And here's the fuel pump. So we're gonna wanna put a big glob of grease right here just your old wheel bearing grease will be sufficient. Just glob some on there, and then we'll insert like so. Alright guys, with the fuel pump on, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put down the 2 nuts that hold the fuel pump together. And I would just recommend we start by just setting the washer and the nut into place here. We're actually going to tighten up the rear one first. So we're going to get the washer on there. And this is where I hate wearing gloves because I feel like you lose all the feeling. But I've been doing this long enough. I'm pretty sure I can make this work. So we'll just hand tighten this down and tighten the rear one down. Alright guys, now we got the fuel pump on. We're going to go ahead, we're going to put on new fuel hoses. So again, the top one went to the engine. So go ahead, slide that on, get the clamp in place there. And on this one, get the clamp in place here. Slide this on. And what I like to do is I like to get as much of the hose on the fuel pipe as possible. So yeah, that should be good. Actually going to bend this fuel pipe a little bit so it gets a little more room around the distributor cap. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten up the clamps on this. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and tighten up the clamps on this. Now we're not going to get this one super tight yet, because I still want to get that lower one on. And it is time for me to invest in some new tools. It's been a while. I haven't bought tools in many years since I stopped working on cars professionally. And kind of let all my good stuff go away. I've been using all the cheaper stuff all these years. And I mean, it works well, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't work as good as the good stuff. So again, we're going to tighten this down very tight. Alright, that one's nice and tight. We'll go ahead and get this one set up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take an extra long chunk of hose. As you can see here, just a bunch of hose. And the reason we're going to use a bunch is because we want to route it without making too many cuts or wasting. So that's it guys, fuel pump's done. I'm going to finish running the fuel line here. I'm going to install my new fuel filter that I received, and then I'm going to hook it back up. Next video will probably be installing the fuel filter, and then from there, before we go any further, I need to replace all these vacuum caps that are leaking on the carburetor here. We also need to replace the plugs, the wires, the condenser, the cap and rotor, and of course the points. So thanks again guys, spend some time with me. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I'll let you know how this works. Like I said, we got the tune-up to do, finish running the fuel filter. We're gonna fix the vacuum caps as I said, and then from there I'm gonna get some fuel in it and we're gonna try and start it up. So if you want to see that, make sure you swing back to the TMG garage where we have a bunch of fun, learn some new things, and help each other out in the process. So take care guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe. This video was brought to you by JDH Reptiles. They sponsored this video. Much appreciated to those guys. If you're interested in anything they offer, I'll have those links down below. They're a ball python breeder here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So make sure to check them out as well. And you guys take care. We'll talk to you on the next video. See you later.